This is a little bit looser, as you can tell. It actually flows really nice.
That doesn't have the lard in it, right?
Yeah, this one hasn't been whipped yet. This one's just the grind. Well, we can talk a little bit about grinding real quick too, because that's what Edsel and I were just doing. He's got the cool stone grinder, and we all want one of these. I want 3, but I don't even have one yet. I ground what he's working with now. I ground just in the Vitamix. So this is just a matter of putting the corn in a blender and adding just enough liquid to get it to grind. So you saw me in the background there just adding like a half teaspoon of liquid at a time and then waiting and adding a half teaspoon of liquid, because you are going to get looser than even I would want, even though I like my batter looser than he likes his. I end up working, when you grind it like this, you're probably going to end up working with a pretty loose batter. That's just the nature of it. And you'll still end up with a great end product, and it'll still be in one piece, a piece that you can pick up and will hold together and will fall apart, which is what you really want. It's finger food. I mean, you want to be able to...
Yeah. The tamale really, it's a visceral thing. The peeling of it, the getting the whole thing is an experience, and definitely that holding of it. It's great.
So for the sake of, and since the grinding is the obstacle that most people run into, I just wanted to show how really easy it is to do at home. If you have, my best food processors, I have a couple of these here and at home, just your old school Cuisinart, and it works okay. It's going to leave it pretty coarse. And if you add too much liquid to that, the chunks are just going to fly around inside. They're never going to grind. So it's even tougher to get the right moisture content to grind in a food processor, in my opinion, than using a blender or, everybody loves a Vitamix. And like I said, new Vitamixes are great. I happen to be a fan of these old ones, which by all accounts aren't as good as the new ones. But it's still a heck of a machine, and you can find these things on eBay for $50. So,
Do a little cheat and add a little bit of the masarina.
yeah, you could do that if you want to tighten it up more to his consistency. You can actually take
it's
the
not my
ground
consistency,
masa.
folks. It's my mom's.
But if you have to go looser, if your blender requires you to add more liquid than you want to get it to grind, add a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt it at all. It'll still be fantastic.
Yeah.
Just
There's nothing
tighten
wrong
it up
with
a little bit.
And you'll still get the dominant flavor of the fresh stuff.
Exactly. It's not going to dumb it down at all. It won't be noticeable.
What are you doing with the mix?
So that's the next part of the process.
Oh, sorry.
Tamale batter is basically the ground corn, salt of course, stock, and fat. And he's vegetarian. They use Crisco. Lard, it would be at least more recent traditional.
Sure.
Certainly not traditional, because I don't think they were rendering hogs.
No.
Hogs came over with the Spanish.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So the French put the hogs over.
So you want a couple things you want. You want these things to come out like a dense rubbery mass, which is possible if you don't, what is it? Rick Bayless always says, make sure the batter floats if you want to do a test. So what you're doing is you're taking a step like you would learn from baking, like whipping butter or something.
Like you're making cookies.
So you're gonna whip. You can do this with a hand mixer or stand mixer. You put the lard in there, a little bit of salt, and we add. It's a little bit of an insurance policy. Is a little bit of baking powder. Tiny bit of leavening just guarantees you're gonna get a light end product. So that's a nice little cheat. So just a pinch of that, and then you whip this to beat some air into it. You want to beat just like you would whipping butter. You want to beat some air into it.
And you don't have to be afraid with masa because there's no gluten.
Yeah.
You're not gonna work.
Yeah, you're not going to work it.
You're not gonna overwork
it.
it.
Turn to rubber.
And you don't have to overanalyze this step at all. But you can whip it a little bit, and then you're going to add the stuff we just ground, and then you're just going to mix that together. Now at this point, besides the stock and stuff, you can flavor it. And I have a lot of people that tell me that they wouldn't make tamale batter if it didn't have some anchovy or something like that. So, be creative. I don't, there are no rules here. I mean, at this point, you want to make this flavorful. Whatever you like, go for it.
The masa is a really good vehicle for a lot of flavors, and the steaming process helps everything perfume. My mom doesn't put anything in there, so I used to be real purist about just the masa with the salt, the fat, the stock. That was enough. But a few years back, I started making Indian-style tamales, so I'd put like curry in the masa and masala in the center, etc. And it worked out real well. My mom makes a sweet one now where she puts cinnamon in the masa and the pineapples in the center. So it's a good opportunity. Cumin is one of the things that I usually put in mine. That's a Mexican staple. You know,
Spice guy, so every ounce of everything goes in everything.
I usually put, but like I said, the masa is just so good by itself. If a tamale, if somebody doesn't just nibble on the masa and love it, it's not a good tamale. It's not about the filling.